Hey everyone, so next we're going to jump into choosing your services. So this is after we get a very good understanding of the laws in our state, what services we can offer with our licensure level and the scope, and we really have that compliance part really batted down and we know exactly what to do there. We want to go into choosing our services because that's going to inform what we can choose at this stage. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. So let's dive in. So for our agenda today, we're going to talk about your target audience. We're going to talk about aligning your services. We're going to talk about determining the oversight and the staffing for those services, as well as building your service menu out. Then, after that, as always, we'll do key takeaways and next steps that you should take after doing this. So, share the course. So, again, let's help more NPs and RNs build freedom through ownership. If you share your invite link, you will receive 40% commission on anything that they purchase with us in the future. As always, big warning, this is the most important video in the entire course, so make sure that you watch it all the way through. Try not to skip around. And then lastly, pro tip here, watch the video at 1.75x speed. That'll help you get through the video a lot faster so you can start taking the steps to launch your wellness clinic. And so let's talk about defining your target audience. So at this stage, your goal is to clearly define who your clinic is built to serve. Then you want your target audience to be specific. You don't want it to be everyone. And you want to consider factors like age, lifestyle, goals, and common health concerns that are happening around you and in your community. And then you want a clear audience definition and it'll make your service selection, any additions you make in your marketing a lot easier for you. So you're not, again, trying to target everyone. So what I want to do here is I want to hop out of here and I want to show you this template that I have for you below this video. So the reason I say to do this specific exercise is because once you start thinking about marketing, offering discounts, the area around you, what services to offer, you really want to think about who are you going to be doing these services for. At the end of the day, when we own our businesses, yeah, we are the owners of our businesses, but we are still beholden to our clients. And so if we offer a ton of services that don't align with our clients, then ultimately we're just wasting money and time, right? So we want to make sure that we get a good sense of the area around us so we can not only set our prices right, but we can offer the services that they want. And so in order to do this, using this template, you can get a good sense of that, right? So step one of it is your local market overview. So you want to describe the wellness market and target areas near you, including the population demographics, the income ranges, and the health conscious behaviors. And so as we go through this whole deal, you will see how we do that. So first and foremost is getting an understanding around age distribution, median income, education levels, and the number of competitors around you. You can use things like citydata.com and Census Reporter or just regular old Google to kind of get these demographics for your area. The next thing you want to do is you want to understand your audience, right? So use the section below to clearly define your ideal client before you launch your wellness clinic or start your marketing campaigns. The more specific you are, the easier it will be to attract the right patients and design offers that speak directly to them. So I filled a couple of these out for you in alignment with Pure Health and Wellness. So the age range that we typically see are going to be 30 to 55. Our gender typically is women. The occupation and profession is typically teachers and people in corporate America. Their income ranges range from 60K to 120K. Their education level is usually bachelor's degree or higher. And location is typically around, obviously, our address because we do have a wellness clinic that is brick and mortar. So the 77077 in greater Houston area is where most of our patients come from. And then the relationship and family status, they are usually married with children. And so again, this gives me a sense, for instance, when I'm building out ads and I go into Facebook ads and I have to set my parameters around who I want to target, what parameters to set. I know to set my age range kind of in this range, maybe a little broader. I know a lot of times to just focus on women only. I know what interests to put in there. Okay, teachers, corporate America, what are they into? I can actually select, the income ranges in there, maybe top 10, 20%, maybe top 10% for the area. And then also where I should set my location at because I have a very good sense around who my target audience is. So that makes sure whatever ads I run that are applied to the people who are most likely going to appreciate them. Next is I have some questions here that you can go through and fill out that really gets down to their psychographics, like what do they value most in life? What are their top 3 interests or hobbies? Their goals and aspirations. What short-term goals do they want to achieve in the next 90 days? What long-term goals are they working towards, right? Maybe in the next 90 days, they're trying to lose some weight, right? Summer is coming up or something like that. What pain points and challenges are they facing? So what problems are they currently facing related to health, wellness, or lifestyle, right? If I'm working with people in the age range of 30 to 55, there may be some people kind of in that middle range there who may be dealing with things like premenopause, right? They're maybe adding on a lot of weight. They don't really know what's going on because their hormones are changing. Buying behavior, what products, services, or brands are they already buying that can maybe be adjacent to what we do? Where do they spend their time online? Are they on social media? Are they on website? Are they in the community? So you kind of know where to go in order to reach these patients. And what this ultimately allows you to do is then put this information, for instance, once you answer these questions in the chat GPT and tell it, write a short paragraph describing your ideal client as if they were a real person. So as you can see here, ours says she's a 34-year-old professional who's constantly juggling work, family, and trying to stay healthy. Over the last few years, she's noticed her energy levels dropping, her sleep is suffering, and her stress is climbing, even though she eats fairly well and works out when she can. She's tired of quick fixes and wants real, lasting wellness support that fits into her busy life. Jessica values her appearance and performance, but even more than that, she wants to feel good again. Confident, rested, and in control of her body. She has a middle-class income and she is willing to invest in her health as long as she feels cared for, educated, and supported by professionals who understand both science and lifestyle. So again, this just gives you a good sense of who your target audience is. So as you're choosing services, as you're doing marketing, you know who you are talking to and why. Right. So that's what this exercise is all about. I don't want you to go out there and just add services to be adding services when they don't really align with your local community or your local area or even you. So that's what this is all about. So definitely fill out this template, save it somewhere. So once you get later on down the road to actually building out your marketing strategies, you can always refer back to this. I will even say even more before we jump from this, even with the pictures that you put on your website, right, can speak to your target audience. And if your target audience is a specific person that has a specific interest, then those photos should align with that. So again, you can even get into that much detail when you're really thinking through a lot of these things, instead of just thinking, okay, I'm just going to offer the same services that everyone offers, when you don't really know, for instance, who's in your area. And then, for example, with our clinic, we're in a lower income area. It's not super low income, but it's middle to lower class. So if we were offering luxury prices and luxury services that others are offering in Houston that are in more affluent areas, then we will be well in misalignment with the clients in our area. They would come in, see the prices, and then ultimately not work with us, right? And then even further, because of the area we're in, and people have less disposable income, we put a lot more emphasis on customer service, right? Every dollar for our clients count. And so they want to feel like they are cared for, that they're getting everything they need, and that when they spend this money that they could be spending elsewhere, that it's appreciated. So for that reason, we are very, very big on customer service and treating people like family, where potentially if we were in a more luxury area, again, people have money to spend. It may not be as big of a deal to spend. Now, this is not a hard and fast rule, but you kind of see where I'm going with this all. So that's why we do this step in the process of launching your wellness clinic. So let's hop back into the slides here. Definitely fill that out. And then going to go on to align your services with your audience and vision. So your services should directly address the needs of your target audience. Not every service is a good fit for every patient type, and not every service is aligned with your mission and value and vision. So why I say this is because not only should you focus on your patients, of course, we are definitely beholden to them, but you're also beholden to yourself. And so when you did your mission and vision, make sure that the services that you choose align with it, because that's what's going to keep you going. If you're offering a bunch of services that you don't believe in, that you don't like offering, that you don't think actually helps, then when you try to tell someone about them, that's going to come through. And ultimately, you're not going to feel good with yourself by doing so. So everything we do here in Pure Health and Wellness is aligned to what we believe is actually going to benefit our patients. For instance, I'm not saying NAD does not help people. I've talked to a lot of people and they believe that it does help them. But from our point of view, there's not enough information about NAD as far as clinical trials and literature and white papers on it, that we at this point in time feel comfortable providing those to our patients, especially with how expensive NAD is. So we don't do it because it doesn't align with our mission and our vision. Now, again, I don't knock anyone who does do it, but again, their mission and vision may be different than ours, or it may be the same as ours, but they may feel that NAD, or they've done it personally and they feel that it does do everything they need it to do to feel comfortable offering the service. So, but my point is make sure the services that you're doing align with your mission and vision. There's going to be a lot of trends. There's going to be a lot of reps calling you, asking you to bring different things into your clinic. There's going to be a lot of emails coming through from different, medication and supply vendors saying, hey, we're now offering this, so on and so forth. And you just don't want to get bogged down in doing a lot of things that don't align with you. So choosing services that match patient demand increases retention and referrals. So that's why we want to align our services with our patients. Then choosing services that match your mission and vision increases your happiness and ability to provide great patient care. So you want strong alignment with your messaging and your patient education, and doing this makes that very simple to do. So next is determine oversight and staffing requirements. So review which services require physician oversight based on state law. So I like to double down on this. I know we did this in the last step, but I just want to mention that again. Just make sure that you do this in case you skip to this. Second is identify which services you can perform yourself versus those requiring additional staff. For instance, if you're a non-clinician or a registered nurse, this is that area where you want to get a sense of who can do what. And in case you need to hire anyone, whether that's PRN or have a telehealth, a GFE visit, whatever that is. Then you want services involving prescribing or diagnostics. They may require a medical director or a good faith designing support. So you want to definitely know that when it comes to the services. If you are a registered nurse and you want to offer something like weight loss, you want to do IV therapy, you're going to need a good faith exam. So you're going to have to bring in a contractor or someone who you can actually use to do these telehealth services for you and provide that good faith exam. A lot of times they just charge you based on the per consult. So it's not like you need to bring in someone full time. It's just you may pay $29 for every GLP-1 consult. And again, they're typically able to be used for a full year. So one GFE can be used for a full year. So you're only having to pay that fee once. But these are important things to know as you plan out your wellness clinic launch. Next is staffing decisions should be driven by service requirements, not assumptions. So again, you don't want to start hiring people for no reason. You want to make sure it's driven by requirements for the services that you're going to be offering, and also patient volume too. So you don't want to make any assumptions around this, because then you're going to have to incur higher costs than you need to. So make sure that you're hiring based off your staffing, or you make sure you're hiring based off your service requirements, and not just because you want that type of staffing, or else it's going to be very hard to become profitable. So you want to build your service menu in descriptions. So create a clear list of your launch services and any planned add-ons. You want to write down simple service descriptions that explain what the service is and who it helps. You want to avoid any complex medical language or unsupported claims in your descriptions. And then you want your service menu to be easy for patients to understand and navigate. This will live on your website, your Google business profile, in your clinic, and on social media later. And so again, you want to make that very easy to understand. And so what I'm going to do now is go back into these templates. This will live under the video. You've seen this one before in the previous video that I did, but this is that service menu and staffing needs. So this allows you to put all your different services, add rows if you need to, write your service description, whether you have ChatGPT do that for you or you're doing that yourself. What I recommend is writing it yourself first, then putting in ChatGPT. Then your oversight requirements, whether or not you need a medical director or not, a collaborating physician or not, or both. And then your staffing needs. So who can do these services? For instance, registered nurses and nurse practitioners can actually administer IV therapy, but you're going to need a GFE in most states to do that if you are a registered nurse, and an NP can provide those GFEs. And then, as you know, this is below giving you a sense of who can do what in most states in general. Again, this does not apply to every state. but it is something that you can use as a reference as you're doing any research around who can do what and who you need as far as staffing goes in order to operate your clinic. So definitely use this template, save it in your Google Drive so you can always refer to it later, especially if you do determine that you're going to need to hire some people as you're building out your financials and your startup costs and things like that, and even start hiring yourself. You know exactly who you need to hire and why you need to hire them. Okay. And so now we're off to our key takeaways. And so some key takeaways after this all is define your target audience before finalizing your services, align your services with patient needs and legal requirements, understand which services require oversight or additional staff, and then lastly, complete that template that I showed you, included in the video below. It should be linked in the school module, and get that completed and saved somewhere so you can always reference it. So if you enjoyed this course, please leave us a review in the community. And if you have any questions, anything regarding what it takes to launch your wellness clinic, book a call with me. If you want to move faster and avoid a lot of costly mistakes, we help you with entity setup, compliance, medical director matching, legal and clinical documents, EMRs, marketing, and so much more. So schedule a one-on-one call with me below, and I'll be more than happy to help you. I'll talk with you on the next video.